All right, so I want to start by telling a story to kind of transition us. If you didn't know, I was homeschooled from the ages of 3rd grade to 7th grade. Okay, so I was homeschooled for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, what is that, 5 years? Okay. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, 5 years. Why were you guys looking at me like I was crazy? All right? Yeah, okay. So I was homeschooled for 5 years, but I like to tell people that I was homeschooled for the most useless part of school. Okay, I had already learned how to read, I had already learned some social skills, and then I went back and finished like a normal person in public school. Okay? So my first day of 8th grade came about. This is 6, 7 years ago? That's crazy. My first day of 8th grade came about, and I had gone to the open house before. Like, who goes to the open house the night before? You figure out who your teachers are, you go see your classes, right? So I had already done that, and something that was going to be really hard for me was figuring out the whole locker thing. Okay, I've never had a locker, okay? You're right, it's easy. Eventually you figure out it's easy, but that was stressful for me. Like, I walk in, where's my locker? I got to do the code. How do I do it all? All right. And my mom actually drew me out a map of when I get into the school, you go down this direction. Like, she drew it out and went to the right. I don't even know if she would remember doing this, but she drew me a map. And part of that is because I have an awesome mom, okay? I have the best mom. And the other part of that is because my mom in middle school and early high school was like super protective of me. Does anyone relate to that their parents are like super protective of you? Like, if you walk outside, you have like bubble wrap surrounded around you, and you have a tail that they pull on to make sure you stay within 5 feet. Okay? Some of you are like, what are you talking about? All right? I want to say this. This is kind of a side note. If your parents are protective of you, that means they love you, okay? It's hard. It takes a while for you to figure that out, but try not to hate them too much because it just means that they love you, okay? So she drew out this map. On the first day, we got there in plenty of time. We carpooled with a couple of my friends, and we got there, and I go in the direction, and I do my locker, and I do the combination, and I open it up. And you would never believe what was in it. Somebody's stuff was in my locker. And I was like, what in the world? What am I supposed to do about this? And I was freaking out. I was like, how in the world did someone break into my locker on the first day? All right, really what happened was I was kind of a late enrolling student, and they double booked my locker. And there was a locker that was empty in the same hallway. But they double booked my locker, and I was freaking out. Thankfully, my math teacher was right next door to where that locker was. Her name was, if you go to Parkview, I don't know if she's still there. Does anyone know who Miss Hensley is? Yes? No. Okay. I was going to say, you go to Charlestown. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, your mom, Amy might know who that is, but okay. So basically, she helped me figure it out, and it was actually super ironic because that person that had the same locker as me ended up being like my best friend in high school. So that was kind of ironic. But that change from homeschool to public school was super, super hard. I'm not going to lie. I went from waking up at 9 a.m. and doing my school to waking up at 6 a.m. and getting ready. And if you know me, that's like a huge deal for me to have to wake up that early. And I went from listening to my favorite radio show at 10 a.m. I was kind of weird. I liked listening to radio shows and listening to my art teacher at 10 a.m. So it was a big adjustment. But the reason I tell that locker story is really just because school is jacked up. Who agrees with that? School is just messed up. Like, I don't know who invented school, but I don't know if they're in a good place, okay? I'm just kidding. But school is jacked up in some ways. But it's important, right? It's important. You know, at least people say it's important. Who here actually likes school? Okay, you guys actually like school? School to get away from home, okay? And so I want to say this though, because in this series, you know, you guys are in middle school. This is an important stage of life. And in this series, we're going to be learning about tons of different things to help you at school. You know, it's the survival guide to back to school. And I want to say something that, you know, maybe it's kind of bold, and, you know, I've never been like a parent, you know, so maybe I'm out of line when I say this, but in my opinion, as someone who just graduated a couple years ago, how you handle being a Christian at school might just be the single most important thing you do at that age in your faith. Because it's kind of a test of what it's going to be like in the real world. Where now that you are going, like, especially if you go to public school, and even to some degree if you go to a private school, how you handle that is a representation of how you're going to handle the adult world, because you're surrounded by non-believers. If you're a Christian in a public school today, you are a minority in the sense that there is way more people that don't know Jesus or don't follow Jesus than there is that do follow Jesus. So what do we do about that? And that is an important thing. And if you really want to master that or have some insight on how to master that, this is an extremely important series. And I can look back in my life, and the people that took faith seriously at school are the people that still today in my life that take it serious. But the people that didn't care about Jesus once they walked into the hallways, those are the people more than less that are struggling. So in this series, we're going to learn about 4 things, and this is kind of in reverse order. We're going to learn about 4 different things, and one of those things that we're going to learn about, put it up here on the screen, is how to have a good friend group. Okay, that's important. How to have a Christian friend group at school. Another thing that we're going to learn about in this series is how to respect authority. Okay, how do you handle your teachers? Because that's a big deal. And then another thing that we're going to learn about is how to deal with anxiety and workload. Like some of you have basketball and cheer practice and homework and school. And you're working basically as much as an adult because you're spending 8 hours a day doing something. And then what we're going to learn about today is my topic, how to deal with drama. Okay, without saying anyone's name, like, who here knows somebody who's full of drama? Like, you hate to say it, but they are just full of drama, okay? Some of you might be thinking, that's my brother or sister. Or some of you might be thinking, that's that dude on stage, okay? So drama is something that is wild, okay? And I wanted to define drama because maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe like you're in theater and you're thinking, oh, like a play. Let's define drama. This is the Webster's Dictionary definition of drama. An exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances. All right? That is a terrible definition of drama. Does anyone agree with that? That is terrible. Okay, that's not what it is at all, okay? So the dictionary got that wrong. You heard it first. So I thought, let's take the second best form of truth. You know, the Bible is the best form of truth, but the second best form of truth is probably the Urban Dictionary. Okay, so let's take the Urban Dictionary definition of drama. Something women or teenage girls thrive on, consisting of any number of situations that have an easy solution, which would make total sense, but they don't do it anyway. So they instead backstab, blackmail, gossip, and betray each other. All right, that is also not an accurate definition of drama, okay? It is to a degree, but that's not a full idea of what drama is, okay? So let's see, you know, I don't really agree with both of those, so let's take the Chaz Waters definition of drama, okay? That's probably better, okay? An event or series of events in your life, sometimes avoidable, sometimes unavoidable, that is handled in unnecessary and inappropriate ways that cause tension and division. What do you guys think of that definition? Give me a, come on, okay. If you, now listen, everyone listen up. I know we're being goofy, okay? I know we're being goofy, but let's lock in, okay? Maybe you still don't understand what drama is. I did one more, okay? Who here has seen The Office? I did the Michael Scott, tell it to me like I'm a 5-year-old version, okay? And that is, put it up here on the screen, stuff that happens that sucks and is handled in very, very bad ways, okay? So you should know by now what drama is. If you don't know what drama is by now, I don't know what to tell you. I even did the Michael Scott, tell it to me like I'm 5 version, okay? And I'm pretty sure everyone here is about double the age of 5, so. But drama happens a lot, and especially in school, you know. Who does the popular girl like? Who made the basketball team? Who got invited to the birthday party? Who is jealous of someone? And it's annoying to deal with. I personally hate dealing with drama, okay? And there's been times that I've been involved in drama, and it's been my fault, but I personally hate drama. But what if I told you, you know, I was talking on the phone with a good friend of mine yesterday, and I was like, dude, what am I going to talk about? Like drama? Like, where is that in the Bible? What if I told you there is a perfect solution to how to deal with drama in the New Testament? And we're going to learn about that today. It is in Ephesians chapter 5. If you have a Bible, you can turn there, but all of it's going to be up on the screen. Ephesians chapter 5. And the context of Ephesians is basically that Paul is writing to this group of people, and he's telling them to a degree what it's like to be a Christian. And that's the context of where we're studying, okay? And so we're going to look at Ephesians, and we're going to start at chapter 5, verses 8 through 11. I'm going to go ahead and read that. And starting in verse 8, it says, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. For the fruit of the light consists of all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And find out what pleases the Lord. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them." Okay, so that kind of sets up drama today. And I want you to think of this part of the passage, of what you do when drama happens. And I like that part in verse 11, the end of the verse. If we could pull that back up, that last, have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Okay, what does that mean, to expose them? It means if there's something dark in your life, Jesus has called you to bring it into the light. And all of us, we're surrounded by darkness, especially at school. Like I said, there's more unbelievers than there is believers. And you must take the darkness that is around you and expose it to the light. This is kind of goofy, but I kind of thought of it of who here plays or used to play basketball. Okay, so there is a meme going around when I was about y'all's age, and it was like these two dudes playing one-on-one. And, you know, they're playing one-on-one, and the guy's, you know, dribbling through his legs, and he's dribbling back and forth. And you hear in the background of this one-on-one, you just hear, "Expose him! Expose him!" Has anyone seen that before? Do y'all even know what? No one knows what I'm talking about. Okay, Silas knows what I'm talking about, all right? Honestly, that's kind of how I view this. That there's a one-on-one, there's a spiritual warfare between darkness and light, and what we are supposed to do is expose it for what it is. And what it is if we can, sorry, I keep having you pull it up, Carson. If you pull up that verse, the fruitless deeds of darkness, you're exposing it for what it is. What that means is it is fruitless. It means it has no value. that darkness lifestyle has no value. That, say, drama or gossip, that has no value. And our fleshly desires make us think otherwise, that drama is something that it's okay with, and maybe you're thinking, I just deal with it now, but I won't later. But what Paul wants us to do, he's saying, expose the darkness for what it is. And we're going to skip ahead a little bit from verse 11 to verse 15. So I want you to think of that as what you do with the drama. That when there's drama in your life, the thing that you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pull it into the light. Now that doesn't mean that you talk bad about somebody and you say they do this, this, and that, and they sin all the time. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that if there's something that is dark around you, the ammo that you use is the light of Jesus. So let's go ahead and go to verse 15, and I really want you to get this, because if you understand this verse, your life will be set up far better than everyone else that is your age. That if you can understand this verse, you are now set apart from other people because you have a better understanding of life, even as a middle schooler. And you might be thinking like, what do I have to worry about right now? I'm in middle school. But that's what I'm saying. If you get ahead on this, it can have an eternal impact on your life. Okay, so let's see what the verse is. Starting in verse 15. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but wise. Now there's only 13 words in that verse, so it might not seem like a lot, but really that verse is a big deal. And I want to start with the first part of it is, what is that first three words? Say it out loud. Be very careful. Okay, almost think of your life as you're kind of just, you're walking like if there's a floor of glass. Okay? And sometimes that's kind of annoying. It's like, why, because the world says the opposite. It says, just live carefree, do whatever you want. And that can be really tempting because that seems easier, but really what happens is you end up stepping on a bunch of glass. So you need to be very careful with how you live. And really what that's talking about is you don't want to live the way that unbelievers live, the Gentiles live. I need a partner. I like to do like goofy kind of demonstrations, and this is kind of a subtle one, but I need a partner to come up here and join me on stage. Who wants to? Let's see. Let's do my man Tyler. Have I ever picked you? You don't think so? Come on up. All right. Get up for my boy Tyler. All right. So this is kind of silly, Tyler, but what I need you to do is I kind of need you to just be like my puppet. Okay? All right, because it'll be easier for me to have somebody else visualize it than me doing it myself, okay? So I want you to kind of just like take your hands out of your pocket, keep them kind of loose, okay? So we got Tyler here, and we've been instructed in this verse that there's two different ways to live, okay? Either wise or unwise, okay? So a representation of what it's like to live a life that's unwise, that's the first one, not as unwise, but as wise, is this, okay? So I'm going to just take your arms, and I want you to kind of put your hands out like this, okay? And I want you to kind of just shield your eyes into like right here, okay? So this is what it's like to live unwise, okay? Can you see much right now? No, why? Why can you not really see much? Because you're blocking your own face. Exactly, that's exactly. I knew I picked the perfect person, Tyler. You're blocking your own face. This is what it's like to live a life that's unwise because your focus is what's right in front of you. You're so consumed with what's happening right now that you don't think about the long-term impact or consequences of, let's say, to get involved in drama or to gossip or to sin. You're not thinking about that long-term impact because your focus is right here. You're like, why would I have to worry about anything else? It's just what's right in front of me. That is how you live if you're unwise. And what you do when you're wise is you take this focus and you go like this. You reach out your focus, and now you can see everything. Go like this, see everything. Do it, everything. Okay? You can see everything. So now you realize, I'm doing this in my life, and this is later going to have a long-term impact because I'm so consumed by this, or I'm caught up in this drama because here's the deal, something that it's a lie. Satan doesn't want you to think that, but he'll think, well, I'll just do it while I'm in school. It's just a phase. It's just something I do right now, but when you're an adult, you don't do that stuff anymore. What you do now will most likely replicate how you live later in your life. If you're someone who lies all the time in middle school now, guess what? When you're an adult, you're probably going to be a liar. Okay? So you have to widen that focus. Tyler, you can go sit down. Give it up for Tyler. Thanks for letting me do that. So you avoid the darkness, okay? So we learn kind of how to deal with drama when it happens, and then we kind of learn how to stay away from it. And now we're going to close with this, okay? So if you've not been paying attention for 20 minutes, that's on you, all right? I don't know what to say. But I really want you to just give me 3, 4, 5 minutes and just focus in. I mean, surely you guys can pay attention for that long, right? All right? Just pay attention for 3, 4, 5 minutes because this is super important, what we're about to learn. This next verse, okay? So we're going to close with this. Verse 16. It says, and I'm going to go ahead and read verse 15 to establish our context. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Now, who remembers the last time I was up here? I know some of you weren't in MSM at that point. I talked about a word. Does anybody remember the word? That's all right. Just shout it out if you know it. Necrosate. Okay, cool. We learned some Greek is what we did. And we're not going to do that again today because, I didn't want to repeat the same trick. But something that I think is super important is pull that verse back up here, Carson. The most of every opportunity. Now that's highlighted for a reason because I actually don't like that translation of that verse or that phrase. Most of every opportunity. And if you weren't here last time, the way the Bible is constructed is it's translated, from different languages, and that's how we have our English words in our Bible today. And I don't think that is that great of a translation because what that is really saying in the Greek is something way bigger deal. Not just the most of every opportunity. Paul is challenging to make the most of your time. Meaning all the time. That all the time you have on this earth, so let's take middle school, you're supposed to take advantage of your time. Once you've given your life to Jesus, once you're a Christian, you're supposed to make the most of your time. And I know that might seem like, Chaz, again, I'm in middle school, why do I have to worry about this? But it's a big deal. Take it from somebody who never took advantage of his time, who never talked to his friends at school about Jesus, whose friend group lived, breathed, and ate drama for breakfast. That's all our friend group was. We just super drama, okay? I want to challenge you to take this serious. I know it seems kind of funny, but I really think that you're missing something big. I really do. because life is really hard. And going to school is hard. You're around tons of people who act differently than you, talk differently than you, and it can be discouraging. You're like, man, I'm taught this at church, and then my friends say something completely different. And it's hard to navigate. But if you can pride yourself on this school year of doing these three things, of shining light onto the darkness, being wise, widen that focus, and taking advantage of your time, if you can get that right now, you'll be set up for the rest of your life. So for those of you that are listening and that are taking this serious, I want to just challenge you. Take advantage of this. Because if you can get it right now, and I know it seems like it's something you don't need to worry about now, but if you get it right now, you're set up for the rest of your life, okay? Father, we love you. Thank you for this day. We thank you for your word that helps us at school even today, even over a couple thousand years later than when it was written. And it applies perfectly to what we're dealing with, and that's just a representation of how good you are, God. And just help us to focus on that truth of taking advantage of our time together. I pray for this school year coming up. I know, everyone's kind of can't believe that, we're in the middle of July and we're having to talk about that, but we hope that Eastside could be known as a group of middle schoolers that take your word seriously and take advantage of their time with their friends and invite people to church and tell others about you and pray and not get caught up in drama. Help us to do that in your son's name. Amen.